Thank you. So, Tai Chi Cha is fairly simple to learn, but we don't want to let that simplicity fool us. It really does have the potential to take us all the way home into the ground of love that we are, if we are willing to go deeper and to surrender to its transformative power. I know you all have felt and experienced this in your practice and your life. What I'm doing here is just sharing a little bit about this journey, just to bring more consciousness together to it. I do think, as Becky was talking about earlier today, that we are collectively in really powerful, transformative times. I think life is asking us to wake up in greater and greater ways to the truth of who and what we are. Tai Chi Cha can help us align more with the transformation that wants to be birthed in us individually and as a whole. I would like to share a couple of writings from Justin Stone in Spiritual Odyssey. This is from the title Spiritual Evolution and Divine Instrument. As one works with the Chih in Tai Chi Cha, circulating and balancing the life force, the pace of the evolving is greatly stepped up. How we think and act affects this Chih, but in turn, we are the products of the Chih. Call it the divine instrument if you want. As we practice Tai Chi Cha, this Chih will be molded and accumulated, and our spiritual evolution will be greatly enhanced. We will begin to change, and so will our world. And then from Spiritual Odyssey again, titled A Spiritual Discipline. It is necessary to remember that Tai Chi Cha is a spiritual discipline and must be taught with this in mind. The physical, mental, and psychic benefits can be great, but essentially there is a spiritual power behind Tai Chi, and the world is becoming acutely aware of the need for such. I feel the key behind the spiritual and transformative power of Tai Chi Cha lies with its principles of movement. Justin has said so many times that it is how you move, not what you move, that is important. It is in the embodying of the principles that the Chi is circulated and balanced. And as Justin stated, it is the circulated and balanced Chi that is behind our transformation. Our spiritual and transformative journey with Tai Chi Cha is then really our journey with the principles of Tai Chi Cha. These principles are grounding, yinning and yanning, which is the weight shift, softness and continuity, flowing from the center, circularity, and polarity. They are the boat that will take us home. The principles have no judgments of right or wrong. They unfold in us just like a flower unfolds. Wherever we are in our personal journey with the principles is absolutely perfect. I like to tell my students, there is no such thing as bad Tai Chi Cha. It is just good, better, 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 better. That's it. But just like a flower that has stages of unfoldment, so does our Tai Chi Cha practice. And ultimately, there is no end. It is just only infinite unfoldment. And I want to note here, very important, that as I discuss the transformative stages of Tai Chi Cha, I am just sharing with you from my own personal experience and the experience I've witnessed in my students as a teacher. Someone may have a completely different experience, and that is so very perfect. It is really important always to honor your own experience. That's the growth of certainty that we heard earlier in the conference. So the first stage of unfoldment that I've noticed is all about learning the movements and allowing the principles to take root. The first introduction to the principles can be very life-transforming. A recent new student asked me how something that is about softness ease, and effortless be really beneficial? For this student, efforting and pushing was the only way she knew to get through life. For many, it is also the first time they are learning about grounding in their feet and their dantians after so many years of living in their heads. In the Vital Force Journal, November 2008, a student shares, "After teaching English for years, I came to live almost entirely in my head. Somehow I recognized at my first introduction to Tai Chi that Tai Chi could open a door to a new way of being alive. During a training, my instructors told me again and again to stop thinking and start feeling. It took many months of practice before this advice seeped into my soul. Slowly, the essence of the movements became part of my muscle memory. I did not have to think about moving. I simply surrendered to the flow of the Chih. While I am in the flow, my mind shuts off. Problems and concerns fall away. I am free to simply be. I don't concentrate on the dantian. I feel it sway back and forth as I yin and yang. I feel one with the universe. From the inside out, I am free." The spiritual journey is often described in 3 stages: journey to center, journey with center, and journey as center. This student found her center, and many words can be used instead of center. Some are love. We saw all those when we all listed those words on the chat box this morning with Becky. Love, stillness, home, oneness, joy, now, presence, source. Doesn't matter what name you use. But finding your center is the gift of this first stage of Tai Chi journey with the principles. It can happen especially if one gets the muscle memory of the movements and is then free to sink into the principles in a deeper way. I absolutely love, this is what I think I get high on, is to witness a new student finding their center for the first time. It is often accompanied by tears. I think I'm going to start tearing up. It is very touching, loving, and joyous. Maybe some of you remember that moment. It is a powerful moment, reconnecting to an unconditional, and I bolded and underlined, internal source of love within. Here's another student's experience finding her center. It was at an intensive. Often students have breakthroughs at intensives and accreditations. I highly recommend, if you are a student and have not attended an intensive, to attend one. This is from the Vital Force Journal, November 2019. A special short teaching session during which we were breaking down pulling taffy introduced me to my new BFFs. The taffies. Not exactly the easiest of the movements. The instructor demonstrated the arms pulling past the waist turn and setting of the hands, the placing on one above the other. She suggested we might connect with the dantian as we set up the hands in the form of a hug. I had heard a lot about the dantian in the few years I had been practicing Tai Chi. Justin called it the seat of heaven. We are instructed to move from it, feel it, sink into it, but never had I heard hug it. The mere suggestion of a gentle embrace was a surprise. As the concept sunk in, the tears flowed, and I was filled with a knowing. I was meeting myself in the dantian. I was being introduced to a part of me I never really known. My new friend, my treasure of gold. Although I was not prepared for this meeting, we will assuredly be friends to the end. And we are so grateful to be on this journey together. One of my ultimate favorite teaching moments. I was a fairly new teacher in Minnesota, and I had a student, she was in her 80s, and she was with me for a couple years. And one day she came bursting into the classroom, and she said, Marie, and she was like lit up like a light bulb. And she said, Marie, I get it. I get it. And I'm like, what? What? And it says, never left me. She goes, and of course you say this from day one, but she said, it's all about moving from the center. And then she said something that really hit me. She says, if I would have known that earlier, my whole life would have been different. So she was not just connecting to a physical part in her body. She was connecting to the formless that the Dantian connects us to. The Dantian will be the link to that formless that we talked about this morning. I said, of course, all that matters is that you know it now, because that is all that matters. Experiencing our true center is a beautiful gift from this first stage of our journey with Tai Chi Cha. But in many ways, it is only the beginning. The next stage, journey with center, awaits. This stage, I feel, is so important to understand to continue our unfoldment. The evolutionary force wants to continue to unfold in us. In many ways, it's kind of selfish. It wants all of us. It wants every part of it, every cell of our being to be united with that center. So even though we have made contact with our center, we still do not permanently live there as our true self. Our attention gets pulled away many times. I love the saying from the Buddha. Carmen shared it in her presentation. She said, the man, woman, and child who can keep his or her attention in the bottom of his or her feet, whether walking, sitting, or laying down, can cure 1,000 ills. How many of us can say that we live in the aliveness of our feet and Dantian 24 hours a day? I know I'm still on that journey. In many ways, we are internally divided. There are parts of ourselves that are not completely united with that center that we discovered. They are mostly unconscious. These parts Justin called the habit energies. They are the conditioned or false self and are the source of the suffering in our lives. They live as tensions in our bodies that block the flow of Chih. To free ourselves from these habit energies and to become completely united around our true center is the main task of this second stage, journey with center. The principles of Tai Chi Cha are here again to support us. Our task then is to simply keep deepening into the principles. I think if it was just about the outer movements, I would have left Tai Chi Cha so long ago. But it's always so much deeper. It is so much deeper. I would like to take a little closer look at how we can deepen into the principles of grounding, yinning and yanning, and softness and continuity. Deepening into these principles will automatically deepen our capacity to flow more fully from our center, expressing circularity and polarity. When we are deepening into the principle of grounding, we are deepening our capacity to stay anchored inside our bodies, especially our feet, our Dantian, and the central channel of our body. The feet and Dantian are connected through the main central channel, which is just why Justin said to focus on the feet, especially in the beginning. Our connection to our Dantian and the central channel of our body is our connection to our deepest source and the Chih. In the beginning of our journey with Tai Chi Cha, we are lucky to just feel our feet now and then. I know I was. Now the call is to stay present in our bodies in every moment of our Tai Chi Cha practice and in honor of April and our life, both. This is not easy. The job of our habit energies is to continually pull us away from inside ourselves. And when we discover that our attention has wavered in our practice, remember there is no judgment. We simply return back to the soles of our feet. A new teacher shared this so beautifully in the Vital Force Journal. As you can tell, I love the Vital Force Journal. It is full of so many treasures. This is September 2000. The most profound feeling I have been experiencing as a result of the Tai Chi Chuan accreditation course is learning to deeply listen within to the Chi, to deeply attune every second and to be aware of even the most subtle shifts in its character, remaining vigilant at all times, noticing anything that interferes with the purity of the flow of the Chi. And oh, how wonderful to realize that one need not feel a sense of failure or self-criticism. All that is required is to beware of the interference and refocus the attention back to the soles of the feet. Our center never judges. To become like our center is to never reject anything. And I love that. Let us now look at how we can deepen into the principle of yinning and yanning. So much of my personal growth in Tai Chi Chuan I accredit to working on my weight shifts. For many, many years, even as a teacher, and many years, I felt incredible tension and shakiness, especially in my forward and backward weight shifts. I would dread teaching even sometimes, like, oh, I can't wait to get past those forward and backward weight shifts. Let me get to the side to side. They're shaky. Understanding the source of that tension was a great gift. It was my road to follow to move more deeply from my center. The key to the weight shifts for me was finding and feeling a centered, relaxed, aligned stance in every now moment. This can only be done when you lead from the Dantian and you let go in your joints and surrender to gravity. The more we are aligned and relaxed in our weight shifts, the more the Chi can flow up from the soles of our feet. And we can feel that support, that upward support that Paul was talking about yesterday. I love that. My personal practice has become so very simple. My attention is just to relax into every vertical now. That is my only job. The Chi does the rest. You can start with the rest pose. And we've been working on that. Sandy has done a lot with that this conference. Ask yourself if you are aligned, relaxed, and is your weight completely surrendered to your feet. Next, you can explore how centered, relaxed, and aligned you are at the end of each weight shift before you begin to shift your weight into the empty leg. Daniel Piensek wrote a wonderful article I share with my students in the Vital Force Journal, November 2017, titled, Enjoy the Now in Your Practice. He says, the less obvious but equally wonderful moments come at the end of each weight shift in that fleeting second when one weight shift ends but before the next begins. I have become aware that when I think my weight shift has completed, there is more letting go to do, and the body fully releases. The pelvis gives into total relaxation, which drops the weight completely down into the soles of the feet, relaxing the entire upper body, knees, ankles, and feet. In that moment, there is only the now of feeling solid and stable, yet totally relaxed with the weight on one foot and the body in surrender to quiet. This helps open the mind to the awareness that every moment is a now moment, nothing of what was and nothing of what is to come. Thank you, Daniel. The next step, of course, would be to feel centered, aligned, and relaxed in every single moment of your weight shift. And there are many things that can block us from moving from our center in an aligned and relaxed way. Our knees, hips, and belly center can hold unconscious tension, fear, and numbness. This is often caused by repressed or rejected feelings that we did not have the inner ground to feel safe to allow when we were young. Can also be caused by physical or emotional trauma. These unconscious parts of us block our capacity to move in softness and alignment from the center of our being. It is a courageous journey to wake up to these parts and to keep meeting them from a ground of love and compassion. I'm going to share this story from a teacher at her accreditation, also from the Vital Force Journal, September 2000. The teacher trainer, Ed, said to me, "I am concerned with the way you do your side-to-side movements, especially in pulling taffy. Concerned enough, you may not be accredited this week." My disappointment hit first, then anger, then a phone call from my husband. He said, "Well, you could have continued doing the move as you were for another 6 months, or be where you are, learning to do it correctly." Wow, he was right. Those words started my thoughts off again in the right direction. I practiced and read more that evening. I let go of needing to be accredited this week. I knew I would be when the time was right. That night, I woke up thinking our room was on fire. I felt an intense heat in the center of my body, radiating out through my arms and fingers, my legs and toes. I threw the covers off, still partly asleep. I drifted back in slumber. Finally, awaking fully at 5 a.m., I got up to practice Tai Chi. When I began to move, these words were inside me somewhere. I am nothing. I am one with the Tao. The Chih moves me. Thursday morning, I felt so different. When we began our practice together in class, soft music was playing. No one spoke. I began to cry. I could not stop. I continued to do the movements with my nose running and tears running down my face. I began to feel a deep release, healing a long ago physical trauma to my lower body. She was accredited that week. The more we meet our blockages with acceptance and love, the more they can dissolve. This allows us to move more freely in our weight shifts from the center of our being, which in turn allows the Chi to flow more and more freely. This leads me to the last principle that I want to talk about, softness and continuity. Through deepening into the vertical now of the weight shifts, we are also deepening into the stillness of our being. Out of the stillness of our being flows the great divine dance of the Chi. This dynamism is a beautiful, harmonious flow from expansion to contraction. All the work on our centered, aligned, relaxed weight shifts frees up the fullness of this flow, and we experience it especially in the waist and the wrist. You have heard that ancient Tai Chi saying, I think it was done today, the Chi is rooted in the feet. Its stems are directed, stems in the legs, and it's directed by the waist, but expressed or manifested in the fingers. And I would say the wrist as well. Justin has often said that the wrist and waist must be loose and pliable in order to do Tai Chi correctly. The body needs to be continually awake to this flow coming out of the now of our weight shifts and surrender to it. This sounds easy, but to our conditioned self, it can feel like we are jumping off of a cliff, and to the ego it is. The practice is asking us to let go of a lifelong habit of controlling life. We need to drop out of the false safety of our minds and learn to trust our bodies, our Chi. Softness ultimately means letting go. Here's a quote from Justin. Spiritual Odyssey titled Let Go. In Tai Chi, the most important thing is softness, the effort of no effort. This isn't accomplished by trying hard, but by letting go. Trying hard implies effort, great effort, but we are not exercising in doing Tai Chi Cha. We are swimming through very heavy air without effort. In conclusion, to achieve enlightenment, to practice Tai Chi Cha, these can be the same. Let go. In our practice, we need to ask, where do I need to let go in my shoulders, elbows, wrists, waist, hips, knees, and ankles to fully allow that expansion and contraction of the Chi in each now moment? Where am I doing the movement versus allowing the Chi to move me? The key is to ask constantly, what am I feeling now and now and now? I asked Carmen Brockerhurst once, I don't know if she remembers, how she gets her students to feel the Chi. And she said she drives them crazy by asking them over and over again, what are they feeling? And for those that know Carmen, they know what I'm talking about. But even Sandy at this conference, texture and timing, we talked about feeling a lot already in this conference. This principle is teaching us to feel our way through the movement, to let go of the mind and its anticipation and control, and to surrender to not knowing. It is very much like feeling your way in a very darkened room. We are developing different senses that can attune very deeply to the flow and guidance of the Chi, not only in our practice, but in our lives as well. What I found in this second stage of the journey I am calling Journey with Center is that the Chi guides me at times to focus on the lower body, my grounding and alignment in my weight shifts. And this will be my play in my practice for a while. It's like the Chi is the teacher, it's guiding me. And at these times, it seems to, what it's calling me at those times is to, okay, Marie, you've lived here. Now it's time to live in a deeper part of you, a deeper, more expansive, more loving ground within myself. I feel this past year with COVID, we have all collectively been asked to sink into a deeper ground. It's not easy, but we can trust that it is the action of love growing us and transforming us into more of who and what we are. Sinking into a deeper ground within us will open your practice, your life up to more Chi. When this happens, the Chi automatically says, okay, now you got all this energy. And it starts, my focus begins to shift, and I'm guided to play more with the upper body. And I'm being asked to integrate this greater flow in my movements and ultimately in my life. So all my habit patterns that aren't in alignment with that deeper ground, that block the flow of the Chi, seem to be highlighted. And that's not always comfortable. It's like, okay, you're blocking me here. You're blocking me here. But with this deeper and greater ground, I feel now safer to release them. It is in this way that I am always growing and transforming in my practice in my life. It's like Seijaku. It's the principle of Seijaku. I'm sinking into a deeper ground, and then I expand. And then the practice seeks me into a different ground, and then I expand. And it's this, that's how it's working on me in my practice and in my life. The Chi is very gentle. It does not ask us to let go of something that we're not ready to. I love, this is a quote I actually found in the comic section of a newspaper. It says, "Don't tell me to relax. Tension is the only thing holding me together." Before Tai Chi Cha and finding a true center within, tension may have been the only thing that you thought was holding you together. We're always being held. Slowly, though, as we realize that we can let go and trust this stillness at the center of our being, we realize that something is holding us. And like I said, has always been holding us. And now we can let go. But until we found that center, it was too hard to let go, right? As we keep deepening into the principles in our Tai Chi Cha practice, we find ourselves letting go more and more until we experience those moments that Justin says, no one is doing Tai Chi Cha. Tai Chi Cha is doing Tai Chi Cha. In those moments, we are fully anchored in the truth of who and what we are. And we have become an open and transparent channel for love energy on this planet. When these moments become continuous, we are at the stage that I call journey as center. I'm not concerned when I personally will get there. I know I'm not, because I know the joy is in the journey itself. And I know that the principles will keep carrying me. And for this, I have deep gratitude. So in closing, sometime during this conference, I invite you to take a minute to just contemplate your transformative journey with Tai Chi Cha. What is your relationship with the principles of Tai Chi Cha? How have they unfolded in you? What growth is your Tai Chi Cha practice and your life asking of you right now? So with that, I thank you so much for your time and your presence. And happy unfoldment is all I can say. So thank you.